Hi there Capricorn, thank you for joining me for your monthly forecast for July, a time when relationships come under real scrutiny. Why? Well, the Sun is in your opposite sign of Cancer as this month begins, but goes face to face with Pluto in your sign in week 1. The balance of power in all sorts of ties could go through some kind of elemental shift, and it can start right from the start of the month because of this. But with Mercury in your sector of position, there could be a tendency in the early days of this month to focus on the detail and take your eye off the big picture, but do stay mindful of this. From the 5th to the 11th, Uranus gets in on the act, and as you know, Uranus has been a very restless influence for you in terms of your emotions and home and family life over the last few years. It's possible you've put some distance between you and some people, or it just seems to be that these areas are much more random and restless, people coming and going. There doesn't seem to be an awful lot of calm. And Uranus clashing with the Sun suggests that if you feel that a lack of privacy or space is in some way affecting your key relationship in your situation, you may want to take some dramatic and sudden action. But by the 13th, well, Mercury moves into this opposite sign, and this can be a very good thing, because where you saw the detail of things and therefore what you pinpointed as being wrong, now it gets much easier to hear what other people have to say, which can be very, very valuable, and this can lead to a better dialogue. There is also a full moon which occurs on the 13th as well, and if you are entirely unhappy in a relationship, it could be a point of no return where you decide enough is enough. But on the other hand, it could be the kicking off point for where you develop a strategy to improve something that has got some goodness in it. It's just got out of shape and needs realigning. Now on the 16th, we have a massive change when Jupiter moves out of your opposite sign of Cancer, where it's been for the last year, and into Leo. Over the next 12 months, if you are interested in being more entrepreneurial or business-like, or investing in stocks and shares, or perhaps if your circumstances are not quite so well off as that, just taking the first steps on the housing ladder, Jupiter can definitely bring you some fortune in that time. But you need to be proactive. It could be as simple as buying and selling things online in a very skilled way, which increases your worth. However, from a more spiritual viewpoint, because Jupiter is about learning too, this can help you to become much more conscious of motivations, yours and also others. So if you find yourself gaining a much greater interest in metaphysical subjects like astrology and psychic phenomena, don't be surprised at all. Now there is a really big clash between the Sun and also Mars. For much of this month, it begins on the 11th. And the cautionary tale here really is this: as much as you can have the confidence to overcome any opposition, you don't want to overcome opposition in a way that actually forces it back down out of sight, but leaves the resentment simmering away. So if there is a situation which really isn't working, and you don't feel it can be repaired around a relationship, it is going to be important not to be too ruthless. And if something does need to come to an end, do it in a constructive, fair way. Mars, highlighted in your midheaven since before Christmas last year, has generally been an asset for you. But it's one of those locations where if you're too self-confident or too forceful or want things too much on your own terms, it could be very much counterproductive. Now on the 18th, Venus moves into your opposite sign, and if you're single, this can be a delicious change, and it could bring someone your way before the end of the month who you find to be highly, highly attractive. It's also going to give you more charm and can take the rough edge off all sorts of conversations and negotiations, so buy into this. On the 20th, your ruler, Saturn, ends a backward journey that's gone on for 5.5 months in the part of your scope to do with friendships. And if friendships have gone through a bit of a bleak time, or you've been unclear about your future, when Mars makes the transition into Scorpio itself on the 26th, this is going to be much better for you. These two changes can see you feeling much more dynamic and driven towards your future. Now there is a new moon on the 25th, and at a practical level, again, it can be about finances. But it can also be about the more spiritual side of who you're close to and intimacy. And if you have an opportunity through all the dialogue that's going on this month to get rid of some baggage or some barriers that are stopping you being more close and intimate, go for it. It can be an entirely good thing, especially with Jupiter's help as it combines with the Sun as this month comes to a close. But there is one thing to tell you about. In week 4, Venus goes opposite Pluto. This is a very seductive link. It could be a game changer in terms of your actions or the actions of someone you encounter. But just be aware that we can all have a tendency to use each other when Venus is in a square or opposition with Pluto. And so you need to be watchful of what someone else's motives are, but also clear about your own. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Capricorn. Thank you for joining me. Good luck and goodbye for now.